This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 5 o'clock, for the last 4 decades, boaters say they've had no problems. But just ahead, the change that's causing some people to now avoid Eagle Creek Reservoir. And a new walking and biking path is coming to the northeast side of Indianapolis. But the reason not everyone is on board with the Johnson Road Trail project. And thousands of people across central Indiana will be hitting the roads this holiday week. We've got everything you need to know about the busy 4th of July travel just ahead. But first, it is 5 o'clock on your Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick. Meteorologist Todd Clausen here to let us know just how hot it's going to get today.
You know, we're back into the 90s. 4th day in a row probably that will climb up into the 90s. You need 3 in a row for it to be called technically a heat wave. And so we did that yesterday, and we're going to continue with this heat and the humidity throughout the day today. So you need the sunglasses. We'll have plenty of hazy sunshine once again throughout the day today. And I can't emphasize this enough. Drink plenty of water throughout the day today, more than you even think you need, because if you are out and about throughout the day today, you'll be working up a sweat very, very quickly with temperatures this morning that are sitting in the 70s anywhere you go. So it's a really, really warm start in Muncie as you're close to 80 degrees, 74 in Indianapolis, 75 in Richmond, 72 in Lafayette. Skies are partly cloudy. We get right into the sunshine as soon as it comes up in just about an hour and 20 minutes or so. And that will result in our temperatures warming quickly throughout the course of the morning hours. The storm track will stay to our north. So these are heat index values. This is what it really feels like when you factor in the humidity. This is not the actual temperatures, but you notice by the noon hour already, heat index values will be anywhere between 90 and 95 degrees. And as we go forward throughout the afternoon hours, don't pay attention to those 70s and 80s. That's just the model picking up on some rain showers. 95 to 100 is what it is going to feel like through the peak heating of the afternoon hours. And then even this evening, heat index value still in the 90s as we get into the 8 o'clock hour. It's not till this evening that we see those heat index values fall back down into the 70s. As a result, the Weather Service in northern Indiana has issued a heat advisory. It includes White County over into Miami County, Hartford City and Blackford County, and Marion and Grant County. You're under that heat advisory, but it's going to be hot for everybody, whether you're under the advisory or not. We'll talk more about today's forecast and look ahead to the 4th of July as well, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Todd. The good news is no major problems out on the roadways right now. Coming in from this northwest side, heading southbound on I-65 from I-865 down to I-70 should take you about 17 minutes. So the good news is all is flowing along just fine. Let's take a look at this stretch of the roadway right now. I-65 at the pedestrian overpass. You can see that the roads are dry right now and everything's moving along. As you're heading out the door, should be a breeze.
Elena, thank you. Breaking overnight, firefighters are investigating 2 fires that happened within blocks of each other on the city's northeast side. Officials say the first fire started in the 1800 block of Talbot Street. 3 people were home when the fire started, including a baby. Then 20 minutes later, IFD says passengers inside an Uber that took a wrong turn spotted a fire on Pennsylvania and alerted homeowners to the fire. 5 people were inside the duplex. No injuries were reported in either fire. No word this morning if those fires are connected. A new biking and walking path is coming to the northeast side of Indianapolis, even though a city councilor and several neighbors say it's a waste of money. The Johnson Road Trail project will connect the 71st Street Trail and Fall Creek Greenway. The goal is to make a safer, protected lane for bikers. Larry Riggle, who lives along Johnson Road, says the sidewalks were recently updated and curbs were made ADA accessible. The trail project, however, will undo all of that work.
Let's spend the money on keeping the roads in good shape before we replace a good sidewalk with an asphalt trail.
Christine Scales, the city councilor for the district, agrees, saying the project shows the city's, quote, skewed priorities when it comes to spending money on infrastructure while ignoring bigger issues like potholes. We took those frustrations to the Department of Public Works. Director Dan Parker says funding issues are not that simple.
There's a separate line items in the DPW budget for multimodal paths and greenway projects. So it's not affecting our road budget at all. In fact, 80% of the dollars for this project are coming from the federal government.
Federal funding was granted for the project in 2014. Parker reminds residents that you can always report potholes to the Mayor's Action Center. That number is 317-327-4622. There are new state laws on the books here in Indiana, including one prompted by Call 6 Investigates. The goal is to better protect your kids from a cancer-causing gas. The law requires the state to educate schools about testing for radon. The State Department of Health must send school superintendents recommendations about radon testing. This comes after Call 6's Kara Kenny found only 4% of public school districts in Indiana have tested for radon in the last decade. Chris Ferguson, the project manager with the company that tests schools and businesses for radon, says this is a good first step.
It all starts with education, which is why we're glad that the state's taken this step to start at least educating superintendents of the need to at least consider it in their testing.
Indiana does not require schools to test for radon. The EPA recommends schools test at least once every 5 years. They were purchased illegally, but police confiscated more than 2 pounds of marijuana and 2 pounds of edibles, waxes, and oils because they are not legal here in Indiana. State troopers found the drugs during a traffic stop in Henry County this morning. Investigators say the driver and passenger bought the marijuana at a dispensary in Colorado. They now face misdemeanor dealing charges. It was an emotional day in southern Indiana. Hundreds of people gathered at the funeral of Isabel Meyer. The 11-year-old died last week when a tree fell on her while she was hiking at Camp Cook in Perry County. She was camping there with her Girl Scout troop. Dozens of Girl Scouts were at Isabel's funeral. They said goodbye with their signature salute. And we have some good news this morning. A priceless item that was once lost is now found. Cheryl Brown reached out to RTV6 to let us know someone found the urn containing her son's ashes. The urn went missing last week while Brown was running errands. Millions of Americans are getting ready to celebrate the red, white, and blue, and AAA is tracking record-breaking travel numbers. Our Aaron Lish is live with when you should avoid hitting the road. Hey, Aaron.
Good morning. So gas prices, they are lower this year than compared to last year on Independence Day. So plenty of people are taking advantage of that. So for the past 20 years, AAA has been looking at these travel numbers, and they have the new ones out this year. They say that overall travel is expected to be up by just 4%. And there are record numbers, including 41 million Americans driving. There's also an increase in the skies, about 5%, with almost 4 million passengers. And then there's a slight increase for trains, cruises, and buses with just over 3.5 million people. And if you are hopping in the car, tomorrow is expected to be the worst day for driving. So avoid getting on the roads on Wednesday if possible. I know it's kind of difficult with 4th of July the next day. And then there are some certain times you should avoid those major cities like Chicago. We'll have those numbers coming up in the next half hour, Meredith.
All right, Aaron, thank you. Boaters who use Eagle Creek say they are frustrated with new rules about what kind of watercrafts are allowed out on the reservoir. Our Alyssa Donovan is live at Eagle Creek this morning. Now, Alyssa, this isn't really a change in rules, but more a change in how they're now being enforced.
That's right, Meredith. So boaters tell us that the city of Indianapolis is suddenly interpreting rules differently after about 40 years of the same rules being in place. And that is one of the reasons that there are fewer boats on the water this season. Now, boaters tell RTV6 that since the 70s, they've been allowed to take their boats with large motors of more than 10 horsepower into Eagle Creek Reservoir. The only stipulation was that they did not turn on the large motors and used a smaller one instead. That rule is on books and is posted around the waterway. But boaters say now that rule is interpreted has recently changed. We spoke with one boater who told us he and several other boaters bought smaller motors for their boats about 2 years ago to comply with the rules. This cost them a couple $1,000s each, so this change is a little bit frustrating.
When I showed up at the ramp this year with my 6-horse, I was told, because I also have a 40-horse engine on my boat, that I can't even get on with the kicker horse. And so, needless to say, I wasn't really happy, and neither are my friends, after spending that kind of money trying to comply with their regulation, and now they've cracked down even further.
Now, the Department of Natural Resources released a statement saying it's concerned because if boats are not on the water, the state could lose revenue on fishing license. Indy Parks also responded to questions from RTV6, and they simply cited that ordinance that is in place banning those boats with 10 horsepower or higher. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. And here at RTV6, we love working for you. If you have a problem and need help getting answers, contact us at workingforyou@rtv6.com. Well, Todd, if you have work off today would be a great day to get out on a boat.
Yeah, boat, water, anywhere, a pool, great place to be. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. If you don't have those options, maybe head to a public place that has air conditioning if you suffer from some heat-related illnesses, because today is going to be probably not the hottest day. Sunday was probably the hottest day that we're going to see when we got to 94, but today is going to be the most humid day, and I think that's what's really going to get to everybody. And temperatures already this morning, mid-70s with partly cloudy skies as you get going and out and about on this Tuesday. We just have a few fair weather clouds outside right now. The storm track is to our north. That's where the storms should stay here through most of the day today, at least those storms that are moving from west to east. However, we are expecting some isolated storms to flare up here across the area later on this afternoon, but temperatures will be in the 90s. It's not so much the actual temperatures, it's the real feel temperatures today. When you factor in that humidity, it's going to feel closer to 100 degrees. So yesterday, we had a pretty comfortable day as far as humidity went. It was starting to get a little sticky towards the afternoon hours. Well, today we pushed the needle even a little bit further into that instant sweat category as the humidity is getting more of that tropical-like feel. We'll talk more about today and look ahead to your holiday forecast as well coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. Protests are planned across the United States today, why many are calling for the camps along the U.S.-Mexico border to be closed. And for the second time in 10 years, the Los Angeles Angels are mourning the death of a player. The latest information after one of the team's pitchers was found dead in his hotel room. We'll be right back.
Weekdays at 9 on RTV6.
Close the camps. That's the message at protests across the U.S. today. Across the country and the White House, activists will protest what they are calling inhumane conditions at migrant detention centers. It comes a day after lawmakers toured a facility they say was unacceptable. Protesters say they want more members of Congress to witness the situation firsthand. Protesters want Congress to refuse to fund the centers moving forward. This morning, the baseball world is mourning the loss of a major leaguer. 27-year-old Tyler Skaggs, a pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels, was found dead in his hotel room in Texas on Monday. Skaggs was in his 7th season in the major leagues. He was found unresponsive in his hotel room in Dallas as the team prepared to take on the Texas Rangers. Officials say foul play and suicide are not suspected. Monday's game was canceled, and there's no word if the team will play tonight or not. Incredibly, this marks 10 years since another Angels pitcher died in the middle of the season. In 2009, Nick Adenhart was killed in a collision with a drunk driver after a game. This morning, the governor of West Virginia has declared a state of emergency for several counties in his state because of flooding. Several communities there are currently underwater. The state has seen heavy rains recently, and that has pushed rivers over their banks. People are now being forced out of their homes, and roads are impassable. Thankfully, though, there have been no deaths reported. And here is a crazy story from out west. It has been so hot in California this summer, the seafood is cooking all by itself. Yeah, this picture was taken from Bodega Bay, north of San Francisco. The mussels are actually cooking right in their shells along the shoreline there. The person who took the picture says she saw tens of thousands of mussels cooked on the beach. Northern California saw triple-digit temperatures in June as the state sweltered under a record-breaking heat wave. Now, Todd, it's unfortunate we had all that rain in June because maybe we could be doing the same with corn. You know, grilling a little corn out there in this hot weather.
Yeah, you know, I was out and about this weekend, and I did see some fields where the corn is starting to get a little bit higher, so that is certainly good news. But it's amazing, after all that rain that we had in June, how the grass is really starting to get pretty dry very quickly here across central Indiana. I had to throw a little water on mine yesterday evening. 74 degrees, that's the current temperature right now. The wind winds out of the southwest at 8 miles per hour. So it's not so much the wind speed, it's the wind direction that's the issue here. Yesterday, we had that wind that was out of the northwest, and that kept the humidity down. The southwesterly wind has brought it back into the equation here for the day today, and it's really going to be muggy later on this afternoon. 70 in Bloomington right now, 76 in Tipton, 72 in Lafayette. You notice the heat extends back off to our west. 81 in St. Louis right now, still 77 in Lincoln. So we probably have today and tomorrow for 90-degree temperatures, and then eventually the core of that hot air will start to make its way off towards the East Coast as we head into the 4th of July. Our temperatures will still be in the upper 80s for the holiday, so we just cool down a little bit, but still above normal. 90 in Lafayette and Bloomington today, 92 in Indianapolis, 90 in Peru. A heat advisory is in place for locations to the north from the National Weather Service in northern Indiana. Whether you're under the advisory or not, though, it's all going to be within a couple degrees of each other temperature-wise this afternoon. So partly cloudy skies. Currently, the storms are well to our north. You notice the direction that these storms are going. They're basically going from west to east across the area. They're not really dropping down to the south. That's because the core of this hot air is keeping these storms up to the north. But we do have some storms in the forecast, and ours are not going to be the ones I just showed you. But as we get into the peak heating of the day to this afternoon, we'll just flare up a few of these isolated downpours across the area. We could have a little bit of lightning, some heavy rain mixed in, but we shouldn't see anything widespread, and we are not expecting any severe weather in the forecast for the day today. Now, tomorrow, we're back up to right around 90, 91 degrees. It's a day, honestly, very similar to today. The humidity may come down a smidge tomorrow, but you'll still notice it. But tomorrow should be the last day of the heat wave across the area. You need 3 days in a row of 90-degree temperatures for it technically to be considered a heat wave. We hit the 3rd day in a row yesterday. Today should be 4, tomorrow potentially 5. And then as we get into the holiday forecast, 4th of July, 87 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Some storms will be possible throughout the day, but we are not looking at all-day rains. We're not looking at a washout. You don't have to cancel your plans. Just know if you are having a barbecue or maybe attending some fireworks celebrations, that there could be some storms around, and then that storm threat will continue all the way through the weekend with warm and muggy conditions with high temperatures that'll be in the mid to upper 80s. Elena.
All right, well, hopefully those storms hold off for the fireworks. Thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-69 just north of I-465, and you can see traffic is slowly moving through right now for this hour, and that's because there's some overnight road work underway. Let's take a look at the map. I'll point these areas out to you. So this is the northbound I-69 near I-465. Those right 2 lanes are closed. This should be wrapping up any minute now. We also have the right 2 lanes closed eastbound 465 near Allisonville Road. So just keep these in mind if you are a northeast side driver. Hopefully they do, again, wrap up before we get into rush hour. Let's take a look at that last one I just showed you, 465 at White River. This is near Allisonville Road. You can see that signage telling drivers to get over to the left, and you can see traffic's funneled through in those left 2 lanes. So just keep it in mind if it's part of your drive.
Elena, thank you. The official campaign is over, but it's not too late to keep Ann dancing. The Indianapolis Cultural Trail is still collecting donations to fund repairs and renovations to the landmark art installation on Mass Ave known as Ann Dancing. According to the website, the campaign to raise $262,000 is at its 75% of its goal at this hour. But organizers are still counting contributions. The total amount will be announced in the coming weeks. Don't forget, ABC's Shark Tank is coming to Indianapolis. You can pitch your idea to producers at an open call on July 16th at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Doors open at 6 a.m. We have more information on the RTV6 app and the IndyChannel.com. Today, Team USA is looking to secure their spot in the World Cup final. We're breaking down the big matchup with England this afternoon. And the NBA season just ended, but the work to prepare for next year is well underway. How the Pacers are prepping for the NBA Summer League this weekend. We'll be right back.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
This morning, Team USA's women's team is getting set for a big matchup today with a trip to the World Cup final on the line. The American team is fresh off their big win on Friday afternoon against host country France. Megan Rapinoe scored 2 goals to give the USA a 2-1 victory. Now Team USA turns its eyes to England in the semifinals. That game is set for today at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If the U.S. wins today, they will reach the finals of the the World Cup for the third tournament in a row. The Wimbledon tennis tournament is underway, and it looks like more March Madness with all the upsets so far. The biggest news was Venus Williams being beaten by 15-year-old Coco Gauff. The American took down Williams in the opening day of the tournament in straight sets. Gauff is actually the first American woman to beat Venus at Wimbledon other than her sister Serena. Several other top-ranked women's tennis players also lost in the first round on Monday. The tournament continues this morning from London. The NBA season feels like it just ended, but the work to get ready for next season is already well underway for the Indiana Pacers. This morning, the team is preparing to leave for the Las Vegas Summer League. The Summer League is a chance for the Pacers to get a look at their new draft picks along with other young players. Today, the team will practice here in Indianapolis before making the trip out west. The first game of the Las Vegas Summer League is Saturday when the Pacers take on the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know if I'd want to head all the way out to Vegas this time of year, Todd. I'm guessing it's pretty warm there right now.
It's a dry heat, though, right?
That's true.
That's what they always say, but I was like, it's still hot.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
Today we have the heat and we have the humidity here in central Indiana. The humidity, I think, is the thing you're really going to notice, at least compared to the past few days. It's a lot higher here this morning, and that'll be the case throughout the entire day today. 88 degrees already by the noon hour. And then eventually, as we get into the afternoon hours, high temperatures top off in the low 90s, but the heat index values today, they are going to be up near 100 degrees with just the chance of a stray thunderstorm as we head into the afternoon hours with a heavy downpour and a little bit of lightning main threats. The time now is 5:27. Stay with Good Morning Indiana. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Sponsored by Citizens Energy Group. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Fires just blocks from each other under investigation this morning. Breaking now at 5:30, why a wrong turn in an Uber may have saved the lives of people inside one of those homes. Plus, chances are you'll be traveling in the coming days for the 4th of July holiday. Working for you, we are breaking down what you can expect if you plan on hitting the highway. It is 5:30 now on your Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrett. Meteorologist Todd Clausen standing by. We have another hot day ahead of us, Todd, and if we reach a certain temperature, we may be well on our way to a heat wave.
Yeah, we're already into the 90s for the past 3 days. I think we'll carry that over into today as well, and maybe even potentially tomorrow near 90 degrees before things get just slightly cooler across the area. But what do you need this morning? Have the sunglasses handy. Once the sun comes up, it's a sun-filled day for us. I didn't check the umbrella. There is the chance of a few isolated downpours later on this afternoon, but they're going to be very, very hit or miss. And I did check the outdoor workout this morning, though, would be better than this afternoon with the temperatures this morning that are a little bit cooler. But we're in the 70s anywhere you go. 72 in Lafayette, 74 in Indy, as well as Richmond. 74 also is the current temperature in Greensburg. Skies are mainly clear. These skies, they will start to brighten in just a little bit, and you'll see quite a bit of haze out there, and that's the humidity that's going to be present throughout the day today. There's not much in the way of cloud cover. That means we'll warm really quick throughout the course of the morning hours. And as far as those storms, they'll stay to our north at least throughout the morning, and then some isolated storms build in this afternoon. So 87 by the noon hour. Heat index values today anywhere from 95 to 100 degrees. That is the big difference compared to the past few days, and our actual high temperature should top off right around 92. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at our northeast side, I-465 at Fall Creek Road. The good news is you can see traffic's flowing along just fine, and those roads are dry. Let's take a look at the map. Coming in from the southwest side, the right two lanes are closed northbound I-69 near I-465, so just keep that in mind if it's part of your drive. We also have those right two lanes closed eastbound 465 near I-70. Here's a look at I-70 at West Street. You can see traffic's flowing along just fine, so everything's moving along for your morning drive.
Elena, thank you. Breaking overnight, firefighters are investigating 2 fires that happened within blocks of each other on the city's northeast side. Officials say the first fire started in the 1800 block of North Talbot Street. 3 people were home when the fire started, including a baby. Homeowners were able to put much of the fire out with a garden hose. Then 20 minutes later, IFD says passengers inside an Uber that took a wrong turn spotted a fire on Pennsylvania and alerted the homeowners to the fire. 5 people were inside the duplex. No injuries were reported in either fire. Officials say investigators question a man identified by neighbors as a person of interest. A warning from federal authorities if you use e-cigarettes. RTV6 has learned counterfeiting is a problem when it comes to e-cigarette products, which could make it even harder for users to tell exactly what they're inhaling. Customs and Border Patrol officers seized more than 1,100 counterfeit Juul pods in April in Philadelphia, worth around $5 grand. A spokesman says counterfeit products pose even greater danger to customers because there's no way to verify the product's ingredients. A representative says Juul pods are made here in the U.S. and regulated by the government. A man in Richmond who bought a pack of Juul replacement cartridges at a local gas station says the taste gave away the product.
I didn't want to breathe that in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really my choice because I was under the impression it's what I thought I was
for sure
already come to terms with breathing in. You know?
The Customs and Border Protection spokesman we talked to says they take intellectual property rights enforcement seriously because of the potential health and safety threats counterfeit goods like electronic nicotine products pose to American consumers. A California truck driver has died following a crash on I-70 in Putnam County. 66-year-old Freddie Smith was removing roadside warning signs when he was hit and killed by a van that crossed the white line. Callers reported the driver of the van, 42-year-old Paul Rosano, weaving all over the road near Monrovia. State troopers were trying to catch up to Rosano when the crash happened just east of the Cloverdale exit. Rosano now faces a number of charges, including operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated, causing death. Health officials are urging you to take extra precautions this year to protect yourself after mosquitoes in 2 Indiana counties have already tested for West Nile virus. Tested positive, that is. The Indiana State Department of Health says mosquitoes in Elkhart and Clark counties have tested positive for the virus as of today. Indiana health officials haven't found any human cases of West Nile virus so far in 2019. However, the health department expects increased West Nile activity throughout the state as the season continues. We are working for you with what you need to know to avoid mosquitoes. Don't stay outdoors long when mosquitoes are active, which is late afternoon, dusk to dawn, and early morning. Apply an EPA-registered insect repellent containing DEET. Cover exposed skin by wearing a hat, long sleeves, and long pants in places where mosquitoes are especially active, such as wooded areas. And install or repair screens on windows and doors to keep mosquitoes out of your home. Hiring Hoosiers is our initiative connecting you to jobs, training, education, and other resources. A Central Indiana Police Department is looking for new recruits. The Kokomo Police Department is accepting applications through September 9th. Some of the requirements include U.S. and Howard County residency, no felony convictions, and you must be between 21 and 35 years old. There are different age requirements for veterans. For more information on how to apply, go to cityofkokomo.org. As we prepare to celebrate America's birthday, it will be a busy time for travelers. Crunching the numbers, our Aaron Lish is live with what you need to know before hitting the road. Hey, Aaron.
Good morning. So maybe you are planning for an Independence Day getaway. Well, you're not the only one. About 49 million Americans are traveling for the 4th, and a majority of them are driving, according to AAA. And that is record-breaking numbers. About 41 million people are hitting the road. And a big reason why more people are doing this is because gas prices are lower now than this time last year. But something to note, tomorrow is predicted to be the worst day on the roads. AAA is expecting nationwide for delays to go up by 9%. In major cities, you can see delays 4 times as much as a normal drive. And to give you an idea, the closest big city here is Chicago. So on Friday between 1 and 3 p.m., they are expecting delays to be twice as much as normal. So maybe try to avoid that area during those times and try to avoid trying to head out tomorrow. And also in the skies, they are expecting more passengers. We're going to hit on that in a little bit in the next half hour, Meredith.
All right, Aaron, thank you. Eagle Creek Reservoir may have a few less boaters this season. This is after a change in how park rangers are enforcing one specific rule. Our Alyssa Donovan is live at Eagle Creek this morning. Alyssa, boaters there say the rules have not changed for decades, but now some of their watercrafts are not being allowed in the reservoir.
That's right, Meredith. So there is a city ordinance in place here at the Eagle Creek Reservoir that bans boats that have 10 horsepower motors on them. However, over the past couple years, boaters have been able to comply with that rule by attaching smaller, what they call kicker motors to their boats, and then only using those small motors when they're here at Eagle Creek. However, recently, they've been told they can't use their boats here at all. So some of those boaters are very frustrated with the recent situation. Now, we spoke with several boaters who have been launching their large boats to Eagle Creek for more than 40 years. They've been allowed to use their large boats as long as they didn't use those large motors. The rule is posted around the waterway, but boaters say now the way the rule is interpreted has recently changed.
They would not allow me on the lake Thursday. The park ranger said that if I put on the lake, they would arrest me and confiscate my boat and trailer.
Now, the Department of Natural Resources released a statement saying it's concerned because if boaters are not on the water, the state could lose revenue on fishing license. Another frustration from these boaters is that over the past couple years to comply with these rules, they've invested in these smaller motors. It's cost them about $1,500 to $2,000. So they're very frustrated that now they're being told they can't use those boats at all. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
And today would be a good boating day if you have the opportunity to get out and about on the water, or maybe find a neighborhood community pool or have one of your own. That would be a great place to be as well. So as you walk out the door here this morning, we're talking about temperatures in the 70s. It's a very warm start for us. We'll be in the mid 80s already by 11 a.m. And then as we work our way into the afternoon hours, we will see our high temperature eventually climb up to 92 degrees with just the chance of an isolated downpour flaring up this afternoon with maybe a little bit of lightning, but they're going to be very, very isolated. So you could spend a lot of time in the water to cool off, but the UV index is still very, very high. Your burn time is about 10 to 20 minutes. So make sure you have that sunscreen on. A lot of times when it gets hazy with the humidity out there, you don't think you can burn as quick, but certainly you can here. So make sure you slap on that sunscreen and also have plenty of water as well. Even if you're in the pool, you can get dehydrated from the heat. So make sure you take the appropriate precautions here throughout the day today.
Todd, thank you. The search will continue for a man missing from a boat in the Ohio River. Straight ahead, what witnesses reported hearing before the man went missing. Elena.
And here's a look at I-465 at Fall Creek Road up on the northeast side. You can see traffic's moving along just fine. Roads are dry for your morning drive. Should be easy if you're heading out the door now. Time now 5:41. You're watching RTV6. Stay with us.
Olay. The Border Patrol chief says anyone involved in a secret Facebook page will be held accountable. Investigators are looking into the group where Border Patrol agents are accused of saying insensitive and cruel things about migrants and female politicians. ProPublica broke the story yesterday. Almost 10,000 people are members of this group. The Border Patrol chief called the post completely inappropriate. She said she asked the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General to get involved. This morning, the FAA will arrive in Orange County to begin their investigation into a deadly ultralight crash. Indiana State Police say the crash happened around 9 last night in the northern part of the county. State troopers say one person died in the crash. Their identity has not yet been released. An autopsy for the victim is scheduled for later today. The search will continue this morning for a person missing in the Ohio River near Clarksville. Authorities say around 6:30 last night they were called to a boat taking on water. Firefighters say they found a man clinging to a life vest in the river. The man told firefighters another person was on the boat with him, but he didn't know if the other man made it off. Crews searched several miles of the river but didn't find that other man. Witnesses reported hearing a loud boom before seeing the man in the water, although what caused the boat to sink isn't clear. New this morning, an Evansville Uber driver is facing rape charges in connection to a December 2018 incident. Police say Marshall Savage Banks reportedly raped a woman on her way home from a bar. The victim's friends ordered the Uber because the woman had had too much to drink. But when friends went to go check on her, she wasn't there. The victim told her friends Banks had raped her. This morning, he is in the Vanderburgh County Jail on $5,000 bond. Also expected to make headlines today, thousands of people are gathering in areas of Chile and Argentina to witness a total solar eclipse this afternoon. That's when the moon passes across the sun. San Francisco's Exploratorium will host a live stream from an observatory in Chile. NASA says the next solar eclipse will also be over South America in 2020. The U.S. women's national team takes on England in the FIFA World Cup semifinal this afternoon in France. The U.S. and England played a 2-2 draw earlier this year at the She Believes Cup in Nashville. In the other semifinal, Netherlands will play Sweden tomorrow. It is 5:46 right now, and I am guessing, Todd, all the soccer fields out there may be empty today because of how hot it is.
You know, especially during the peak heating of the day, yeah, it's going to be tough to be out and about throughout the afternoon and evening hours. And if you do have to be out and about, drink plenty of water. You'll get dehydrated really, really quick, and you'll sweat very quickly as well with these heat index values today. Anywhere between 95 and 100 degrees, and we haven't been in that territory yet so far this year. We had a high temperature of 94 on Sunday, but we didn't have the humidity, so it was a little more comfortable, if you can kind of say that, when it's 94 degrees. Here's a live look in Greencastle this morning as the sun is starting to come up. You notice just a few fair weather clouds out there this morning. It'll be a beautiful sunrise within the next half hour. 74 degrees is the current temperature. That dew point's at 70 degrees. That's uncomfortable, and we're going to stay right around that 70-degree number throughout the day today. So the humidity is not going to change. Our actual temperatures, though, will obviously go up very quickly here this morning. We're at 79 in Muncie, currently 70 in Bloomington. 76 is the current temperature in Tipton. So throughout the day today, sunny skies throughout the morning hours. The chance of a few spotty storms will build in this afternoon. It's very similar to yesterday. Just a couple of you saw an isolated downpour yesterday afternoon. Most of you remain completely dry. Our high temperature, that gets up to 92 degrees here later on this afternoon. So prepare yourself for the heat and the humidity throughout the day today. And here you see those clouds that are out there this morning. The main storm track is to the north through Wisconsin, across Lake Michigan into northern Michigan. It stays there because the core of the heat is in place here across central Indiana. And all these storms, you notice they're near Denver, they're going up and then around us, and that's because they're going right around the periphery of this heat core. So until that breaks down, we won't drop those waves of rain coming through. All our storms today are just going to be manufactured by the peak heating of the day. They'll flare up. You'll notice the clouds starting to billow. You could get a quick downpour, and then it moves on. Nothing widespread and nothing that's going to linger super long into the evening hours tonight. And don't have to cancel any games because of the rain. You just got to make sure if you do have the games this evening or a tea time or the kids are going to be out and about, that you have to prepare yourself for the heat and humidity. Sunset 9:17. It's not until then that the temperatures fall back down into the 70s. So the rain chance is only about a 30% chance today of an isolated downpour. Tomorrow, just slightly better. Unfortunately, as we get into the holiday weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, storm chances will be a little bit better. Not all day rains, that's the good news, but the storms do become a little more numerous. Tomorrow, probably the last day that will be in the 90s across the area. That is the good news. And notice here we go into tomorrow, storms flare up, the sun sets, and then the storms fade away. And then during the peak heating of the day on Thursday, more storms start to flare up. And they're just, again, a little more numerous Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You do not have to cancel the plans because of these storms. There will be a lot of dry hours with a lot of sunshine mixed in with those high temperatures in the mid-80s. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Take a look at our map. So the good news is you can see no major problems out there right now. We do have a little bit of overnight construction on our northeast side and a crash that just came up on our ramp from eastbound I-70 to Rural Street, Keystone Avenue. Let's take a look at that on our live in.traffic camera. You can see that over here, you can see those police officer lights over here, so the crash is on that ramp. The good news is you can see traffic's also making its way through on the ramp, so it's not blocking your drive at all. But if this is part of your drive, again, it's that eastbound I-70 ramp to Rural Street, Keystone Avenue. Just use a little caution as you're making your way on the ramp.
Elena, thank you. Massive yellow jacket nests are causing concern in Alabama. Straight ahead in our Trending 6, what experts say is behind the Volkswagen Beetle-sized nests. Wow.
Home. Tuition free in Indiana.
Before you head out the door, it is time for the Trending 6. These are some of the stories everyone is sharing online and you'll want to know about. Winter has come and gone, but Game of Thrones lives on with fans who still can't get enough after that series finale. An Australian scientist was recently tasked with naming a new species of bee fly and fittingly dubbed it the Paramonovius Night King, an ode to the notorious villain who terrorized the North, leading to an epic battle in Winterfell. The aptly named bee fly comes out in winter and features a crown of spine-like hairs. Alabama authorities are warning people to watch out for perennial yellow jacket nests, also known as super nests. A super nest is a yellow jacket colony that survives winter and makes it to a second year. They can grow as large as a Volkswagen Beetle. Usually 1 or 2 are spotted each year, but this year experts in Alabama have already found 4. Coco Gauff grew up admiring Venus and Serena Williams, and Monday at Wimbledon, the 15-year-old beat Venus. After the win, Gauff dropped her racket and put her hands on her head. Meanwhile, up in the stands, her father leaped out of his seat. Gauff is the 12th youngest overall to play in the Wimbledon main draw, but the youngest to come through qualifying. Congrats, Coco. Ford is unveiling a new mystery car on Thursday. The company teased a shadowy silhouette of its new GT supercar that will be shown at the UK's Goodwood Festival of Speed. But from the photo, you can see a rear wing and a roof scoop similar to racing versions of the GT. Some speculate it will be a track-ready car that will be sold to customers, or an aggressive street-legal GT. Call it a healthy choice combo, a sandwich with fresh ingredients and a low-calorie shake for dessert. Subway announcing a new partnership with Halo Top. For a limited time, you'll be able to get Halo Top low-calorie milkshakes at 1,000 Subway stores across the U.S. It starts on July 22nd, which just happens to be one day after National Ice Cream Day, and ends September 4th. Subway says the shakes will have 350 calories or less. That's the latest video to go viral. It is video of Rick Herman playing to Curious Cattle, and it's been viewed on Twitter more than 10 million times. Rick says he started playing the saxophone just 7 months ago. He says his goal was to make people, and apparently cows, happy. Who knew that cows were big fans of the sax, Todd?
All right, they just came over. They probably heard noise and thought maybe he had food. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess if you ever need to herd cattle, you'll have to break out a saxophone, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, outside right now. Beautiful sunrise taking place here this morning in Greencastle. Hardly a cloud in the sky. Look at these temperatures. We're at 5:56 in the morning. We're at 78 degrees in Muncie right now, 74 in Indianapolis. We'll see these temperatures continue to warm very quickly here this morning once the sun gets a little higher above the horizon. 92 is our actual high temperature. It's going to feel close to 100 degrees, though, later on this afternoon, with lots of hazy sunshine and just a small chance of a few spotty storms this afternoon. They should not be widespread. Better storm chances for the holiday weekend, though. We'll talk more about that coming up in the next half hour when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on RTV6.